Okay, hello and welcome to today's session in the MSDynamicsWorld.com 2015 CRM webcast series. I'm Jason Gumpert, and we are joined today by a pair of speakers, Peter Chase, co-founder and VP of Business Development at Scribe Software, and Daniel Lynton, founder and CEO of LyntonWeb. They are here to talk about building a CRM data strategy and specifically some of the considerations for dynamic CRM use cases. As we get started, I just wanted to add that we do invite you to add your feedback and ask questions today during Peter and Daniel's presentation. And we also have a poll question that we did want to get things started with. I'm going to open that up now just to start getting some feedback on that. We'll be looking at the results, getting your feedback on how you have done integrations to CRM so far to sort of help shape the discussion today. You can also ask questions, again, using the Q&A block and that you should see to the right of the slides. You can enter those at any time. And without further delay, I will turn things over to Peter Chase. Peter.
Thank you, Jason. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. Yep.
Okay, great. I'm here and joined by Daniel Lynton. Daniel is a close partner of Scribe and is really the subject matter expert we're going to lean on today to talk specifically about the how to overcome certain challenges and different issues that you may run into, particularly with dynamic CRM. So welcome, Daniel. So we're gonna jump right in, and we'll come back to the poll question in a minute because that'll help shape the conversation that we have today. The agenda we're going to go through today. The first part of the agenda, and we'll try to keep that within 15 minutes or so, is really more around the mega trends and some of the things that are going on that are impacting deployments of CRM, and particularly impacting and putting pressure on integrating CRM into other systems within the business. And it's going to talk about, we're going to talk about CRM being bigger than an application itself, and how that's impacting the ways that people are thinking about and having to respond and react when they lay out their CRM strategies today. Then we're going to sort of move into a more focused discussion around integrating the front end of the process, because as we'll find during the earlier parts of the agenda, the integration to the customer engagement side, particularly with marketing automation systems, is an area that's seeing a lot of focus and a lot of emphasis, and things that customers are challenged with as we talk today. And then we'll get into some very specific real-world examples from the dynamic CRM community, and that's where Daniel's really going to walk us through some good discussions there. So with that, we'll jump right into the agenda. And Jason, do we have results on the poll? Just curious what we found out so far. Jason, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, Peter, I got locked up for just a moment there. Apologies on that, but yeah, we do have some results. We're seeing about 40% are saying yes, they have an integration to marketing automation. About 40% saying no integration at all, and then the remaining, 10% saying yes to a back office integration or to a customer support application.
Great. And actually, I guess that's reinforcing of some of the points we're going to make here today, that there's a lot of emphasis around the marketing automation integration. Hopefully that one of the things we find, too, that we'll talk about a little bit is that a lot of times there's a lot more that needs to be done around integrating marketing automation. So hopefully that'll be helpful for the listeners today. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in here into the content, and the big mega trend that I think we're all experiencing and seeing, and we see it every day in our everyday life, but the fact that the internet and the availability of information to buyers and consumers is completely turned the world up on its ear. And companies and brands are really scrambling to to alter the way they do business to meet this new reality. And the fact is that that the statistics keep growing, the numbers keep growing. The latest statistic I've heard is somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 75%. And what that means is that that's the average time that a buyer spends in their buy process before they engage with a brand. It used to be, and that doesn't matter whether it's a business buyer or a consumer, they are just waiting much longer into their process to buy before they ever pick up the phone or go to a website or engage directly with the provider of goods and services. And so that leaves companies completely blind to what's happening. And a buyer could be so far down their decision process that they can't be turned around, and before you even had any particular engagement with that buyer. The process of buying is longer, but the sales cycles that companies are experiencing are shorter, which you would think would be a good thing, but is not. And so what we're seeing, and probably a lot of folks on the call are experiencing, is this need for engaging buyers long before they're ready to make a buy decision or even have a specific engagement about a product. And so there's a lot of content-based marketing out there. There's a lot of inbound, what's called inbound marketing activity going on. And the other interesting trend around that is that that companies are now deploying multiple applications for the inbound. We're actually using one today, and that's webcasting. That's an inbound channel for for content, it's content delivery, but also a way to engage with potential buyers. But there's also many others. There's social media. There's others. So how do there's so much more technology. How do you make sense of it all? Daniel, do you have any thoughts? I know you work with, you're actually a marketing agency as well. What kind of experiences are you seeing?
This reality every day. Our clients are living this reality every day. This is just where the market is going. All of our clients are using inbound marketing and content marketing strategies to really generate prospects for their business, build relationships with their prospects, and warm them up for the sales team. So you're absolutely right. Marketing automation is really becoming a necessity, and if that's not integrated with CRM, then you're lacking really key business data in order to take action on that, on your prospects really at the right time.
Right, right, and we're certainly going to get into that a little bit further. Just to drill in on this particular point, Gartner just recently released a report I was reading last week that was indicating that their belief now is that CRM is no longer a market segment or an application segment that they should be following, although they still do, but it's more of a business strategy made up of many different applications that support these different channels of engagement. And so, you have all your marketing systems, but your CRM traditionally has been focused on sales automation, but now viewing it much more broadly, and that it's becoming sort of that central nervous system. And CRM is sort of that central hub of information that then enables you to engage intelligently in all those different channels, is sort of the conversation that they're starting to lead. Any thoughts or comments on that, Daniel? Okay. So the question is.
Sorry about that, Peter. I was on mute.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I was just going to use again your example of webinar software. That's just yet another external data point that you absolutely need to integrate into CRM as part of your business strategy. And so look at all of the systems and technology that you use in your business and come up with a strategy for how all of that should be unified in CRM.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Webinar software is a great example of that. I mean, how many of us end up getting an email with a spreadsheet that has a listing of everybody that showed up and maybe some information about what they did, but where does that go? And being able to integrate that back into your CRM strategy, your CRM system, is just one element of an overall integrated customer engagement strategy. So, how do we go about doing this? And it seems, given the fact, too, that all of these new applications are springing up for customer engagement, social applications, just a variety of different ways that we're engaging with customers. How do we bring all those together? And really, it's not magical, but it is helpful to sort of have a framework, because one of the things that is not a reasonable strategy for most companies is this idea of a master data management strategy, where you sort of create one single database that houses every bit of information about customers that keeps growing and building. That kind of an approach, ideally might be the end game, but is something that may take many, many years to achieve. So, but on the other hand, is it just sort of doing a thinly threaded integration that says, okay, well, I'm going to tie my webinar registration into my marketing system? Well, that's fine, but where does that, then what happens with the engagement data? So really looking at, and what we're going to do is talk about a framework for how you look at prioritizing and identifying areas for integration, and that's sort of the next part of the conversation we're going to have.
Yeah, there are a lot of lightweight integration platforms or integration services out there that'll just marry your data together. Let's match up all of the common fields between the two systems, and that just doesn't give you enough. We've worked with other customers that want to integrate every piece of data under the sun, and then you have such a bloated system that it's hard to make sense of it all. So like you said, you've got to find that happy medium and really be intentional about what data you need in each system to be effective in your business.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about if you think about your CRM system, that's really about, as it talks about relational, it's got a lot of relational data that it's sort of tying together, where the marketing system is much more about speed of execution. And if you're not careful, you can impact the effectiveness of both if you try to do too much. So what we're going to do is focus right now in the next slide here on sort of three big areas of focus and what you might be looking at as the most important thing for you to start integrating, so that you get to be surgical about it. And so let's just cover off on these three areas. The first big benefit area or focus area for integrating your CRM and marketing is around being able to be more targeted and enable the marketing system to be more targeted and more personalized in communications with customers across the different areas of engagement. So as you learn more and more about the customer, being able to feed that into your marketing automation system so that, let's say, somebody comes to your website, you're more intelligent about that one-to-one communication. Or if you send an email, that you're much more personalized and understand that target that you're communicating with. It's all about enabling the marketing system to be more one-to-one and more personalized in those interactions, but in an aggregate, high volume environment. Any
absolutely. If you're not using data about your customers to sync back to marketing automation and do true persona-driven marketing, then you're missing out on such a major opportunity with data that's already right there at your fingertips. So that's the name of the game, is getting more personalized and more one-to-one with your marketing, but doing it in an automated way.
Yeah. And the second one you alluded to a little bit earlier, which is that let's talk about make it operationally efficient. So, okay, so I'm doing marketing, I'm engaging in an automated way, and yet at some point there are certain triggers or actions or events. Maybe it's a lead score. Maybe it's a certain action that's taken by somebody in your, or some information you gleaned through your marketing engagement. How do you effectively then deliver that so that it triggers workflows in the systems that power, power the human capital within your business? So, maybe it's a salesperson following up on somebody that's taken some actions that, that sort of are leading indicators of serious buying behavior. Or maybe it's a customer satisfaction issue that you need your customer service organization to engage in. So being able to deliver that data and making it actionable is an absolutely essential component.
Yeah, let's say that you're working through an opportunity and the deal stage changes in CRM. That syncs back to marketing, and a workflow fires off to follow up with a different email to the prospect. Or likewise, you're using lead scoring in marketing automation, and that lead score hits a certain threshold. CRM fires off a workflow to alert the lead owner or to assign the lead to an owner.
Right, yeah. So it's really about, in this sort of second category, it's about operational efficiency. So the first one is about being highly personalized and targeted with your customers. The second is about operational efficiency. And the third area is about measurement, visibility into the entire sales and marketing funnel, and that's being able to aggregate data. Now, whether you're doing this BI and reporting right out of your CRM system or your marketing automation system, or you have a third area that you're consolidating it into, but how do you really, this is the elusive thing that we've been struggling with for years and years. How do we pull all this information together so that we understand the entire marketing and sales funnel? And, a great example of that is just investments in social media, and to what degree are those investments in social media driving behavior that's actually leading to purchase, and being able to measure that is becoming more and more critical as more and more channels of communication are opened up.
That's right. And the reporting that exists in various systems can become far more valuable if you're aggregating data and sharing that data between your systems.
Yeah, I think you're going to share with us an example of that in a little bit. So we look forward to digging in on that a little bit. This is a slide that you put together, Daniel, and perhaps maybe you could spend a few minutes talking about this. I think what this is saying is really understanding the types of information and perhaps maybe some of the different challenges that you may run into, but I'll let you sort of cover off on this, the points here.
Absolutely. Well, when you look at your marketing automation system, you're collecting data about your prospects, and if you're a B2B company, they work for a company that you're trying to sell to, and you're also generating a lot of behavioral data about your prospects and their digital body language, what they're doing on your site, how they're interacting with you in social media. And so these are the three different groups of data that you should really think about integrating with CRM when you're putting together that integration strategy. And so we want to make sure that we're getting all of the relevant information about the contact, not just their contact information, but where they are in the buy cycle. What is their buyer persona? And that's going to really dictate how we're going to market to that person through personalization on emails, through personalization on the website. Where did they come from with the lead source information? You have lead sources in CRM where someone could have come to you originally through an offline source like a trade show, and it's really helpful to have that information in marketing automation.
Right.
Go ahead, Peter.
I was just going to say you have other data too. A lot of this behavioral data is data that sits in marketing automation, but also marketing automation can benefit for personalization purposes from behavioral data that even exists outside of that system. Could be a back office, could be your CRM system as well.
Right, yeah. I mean, you can sync in activities from CRM, all of those sales activities that are being tracked into marketing automation to fire off contextual-based messages. Absolutely.
Right. Or it could be, even purchase history or things like that as well.
Exactly, yeah. Absolutely. That's where company properties come into play, and you can sync all sorts of goodies from the opportunity data, like a product or service evaluated, the stage of that opportunity, the value of that opportunity. You can aggregate that data together to send to marketing automation or store the most recent opportunity, or marketing automation is getting so complex now that they're starting to mirror the data in CRM, where you can actually send all of your deals, from all of your opportunities from CRM into marketing automation. Mm-hmm. And your marketing automation reporting is including revenue reports. So you have revenue reports in marketing automation, you have revenue reports in CRM. As much as you can possibly share that data between the two systems, you're going to see vastly different types of reports in each of the two systems.
Right. Great. So how do you so we're going to focus in on the marketing automation component of it. How do you, but this can, I mean, these steps apply, I suppose, to any type of integration need. This is pretty generic, but you know, what our experience is in working with companies to integrate, first of all, you know, from our platform, or there are other platforms out there as well, one of the nice things about an integration platform is it gives you that ability to expand and change quickly. So you can do things quickly and then change it and expand it and modify it without opening up a completely new project as your business needs change. And then combine that, and that's sort of what we do together, combining that with somebody that has such great experience in implementing these types of things and what the pitfalls are, really is a recommend, you know, at least certainly our recommendation, to some degree self-serving, but also supported by the data that we've seen. But the sort of the meaty part of this, steps to success, is we've laid out some framework earlier about where you can get key benefit. The key for us is to find different use cases instead of trying to say, hey, I want to munge all this data together. To find very discrete use cases, we're going to see a few in a minute, prioritize those based on business value versus cost and complexity to implement. Ideally start with things that are high value, low cost complexity to get some momentum, and then repeat and sort of this sort of rolling thunder approach, as opposed to trying to solve for every you know, every kind of use case across the three elements that we talked about earlier. So with that, I'm gonna sort of pass the handle to you a little bit here, Daniel, and let you lead the next part of the discussion. And this is where we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of particularly, this is dynamic CRM, and I believe integrating each of these three scenarios is integrating to HubSpot, but we see the same issues with you know, with others as well, with other marketing automation systems. But I'm going to let you go ahead and sort of walk us through this and lead this part of the discussion.
Thanks, Peter. Well, yes, like you said, this can apply to really any marketing automation. We work solely in the HubSpot universe, but we have customers coming to us from other marketing automation systems that experience the same types of challenges. And campaign ROI is a really good example, because if you've been a long-time CRM user, chances are you've been using campaigns for trade shows and other traditional marketing where you have a significant investment tied to your marketing efforts. And so as you start adopting more digital marketing strategies, and maybe you're doing paid search, and maybe you're doing other sponsored campaigns, and you're investing heavily in content marketing, you want to track the effectiveness of those campaigns and see what's generating the most ROI. So in this example, we had a healthcare products company. They're tracking CRM or campaigns in CRM to report ROI of all their traditional marketing. They have really rich data, rich history of data in their CRM, and they're adopting a marketing automation strategy. Well, they want to track the same types of ROI reporting from HubSpot. Well, like a lot of marketing automation platforms, HubSpot has campaigns in their system, but they don't have really a one-to-one correlation to campaigns in CRM. So created a bit of a challenge as to how do we want to track the campaign responses? How do we make it easy to do that for the marketer when they're setting up campaigns in HubSpot, since there's not a designated place?
Daniel, when you say they don't have a one-to-one relationship, are you talking, can you be more specific about that?
Well, sure. So you have campaigns in CRM that you're using to track the cost of a campaign and all the details of that campaign. And each contact and lead can have a number of campaign responses, so that's your relationship there. Well, in HubSpot, when you build a campaign, HubSpot allows you to create a campaign which is associated with emails, landing pages, so on and so forth. But to synchronize those campaigns into CRM wouldn't necessarily make operational sense because the way that you're organizing your inbound campaigns in HubSpot may not really tie directly to campaigns in in CRM, which should have a cost associated with them.
Okay.
So what we do is allow the customer to associate each of their forms in HubSpot with a campaign in CRM. So they'll paste in the campaign name in a hidden field on the form. They can associate each form with a different campaign or a series of forms with the same campaign, depending on how they're doing their marketing. And then when a prospect submits that form, we see that there's a campaign name associated with it in that hidden field, and we'll create a campaign response when we sync that prospect to CRM.
Great.
You also have lead source fields in CRM, so we're setting the recent source campaign field if that's being used. So when the sales rep is working a lead, they can see exactly what was the last campaign touch for that person. And then in CRM, you can report on all of your offline and online campaigns, campaign performance and ROI, cost versus revenue.
And so you're able to tie, and you're able to tie these ultimately back to the revenue generated for this customer.
Exactly.
For each campaign.
Based on opportunities. Okay. Yes.
Good.
Yep. And this doesn't touch on really getting revenue back into marketing automation. That's sort of another topic that I can touch on our last slide. But the goal here when we're talking about tracking ROI, it's not just about getting all of your campaign data in CRM, but it's about tracking ROI across all of your marketing efforts. And in certain cases, you might be able to track different types of ROI in your marketing automation system where you can see every single digital touch in a very deep way, whereas in CRM, you're sending your digital touches and your campaign responses in maybe a more high-level way.
Okay. Great. Do you want me to, I think you can advance the slide if you want.
Let me give that a shot.
I just did for you, so.
Thanks. This is another really good example that touches on the overall problem with marketing automation having generally a more flat data structure. CRM is more relational and really has a lot more objects to it than you have in marketing automation, which is because your marketing automation is serving a more specific purpose than your CRM. But in this case, we had a consumer products company that, their products are being sold in a variety of channels. They don't get information on their customers until the customer comes to them for support. They're using CRM to track support tickets on warranty issues and technical support. So they want to cross-sell and upsell and market to customers after a support ticket is closed. They want to measure their satisfaction, but they also want to offer them other supporting products and services, well, mostly products in this case. So they have different classifications of product, different product categories tied to their tickets. And because we don't really have a related object for that in marketing automation, we just have contacts in the marketing software. So we need to take a look at what ticket information do we need in the marketing system to send the relevant messages to customers and make sure that we accommodate multiple tickets and be able to market to customers if they've bought more than one type of product. So the way that we design the solution is we're querying recently closed tickets. As soon as a ticket is closed, we're syncing relevant information to HubSpot. We've created a variety of fields to store related ticket, but also aggregate ticket data. So we include the exact product that was related to the ticket, the product category, the open and close date, the number of days that the ticket was open. And then we grab that aggregate data, like total number of tickets. When was the first ticket opened? and so on and so forth. So with all of that data in HubSpot, we can use workflows to automatically send personalized marketing emails driven by the product type, promoting related products, maybe even offering a discount. This company has their own official online store. So the bonus here is the customer buys additional product directly from the manufacturer. You now have even more rich data about this customer in the e-commerce system, which is synced back to both HubSpot and CRM.
Now, are you thinking all of the ticket data, or are you filtering out only certain types of ticket data, or are you letting the marketing system determine what ticket data they're going to act on and just providing all of it?
We're providing all of it. Once the ticket is closed, we send it. All of the tickets are interacting with consumers, and there might be certain products that they just don't have campaigns for yet, but their goal is to market to every customer that comes to them for a support ticket.
Great. Cool.
And this results in real measurable... Sorry, go ahead, Peter.
I was going to say, this is a great example of that second scenario we talked about, where you really, actually it covers a couple of things, right? It covers the fact that you've got workflow being triggered that is, that's enabling a system to execute, but you're also then using that data to drive highly personalized communication.
Exactly, and generate revenue that's very measurable, particularly when the customer is buying from you.
What kind of impact has the customer seen in terms of revenue around this scenario? Have they been able to measure that yet?
They've been able to measure the direct revenue from e-commerce, and even just with the first couple, I mean, they deal in high volume, so just with the first couple campaigns that they ran, they were able to see an immediate uptick in sales because most customers buy from them through other channels, and so they're able to see a real jump in direct e-commerce sales as a result of this.
Oh, wow. Very, very cool.
So I'm going to move on to our last customer story.
I think you want to go in the other direction because I think we both advanced the slide. Let's put it out of order.
There we go.
Sorry.
Quite all right. So now we're going to talk about syncing marketing lists. This is similar to our discussion about campaign data, because if you've been a long-time CRM user, you probably have a variety of marketing lists that you're using for various reasons, and you adopt a marketing automation system and you start with essentially just a database full of contacts. If you're integrating your CRM, then you should start your marketing automation system with just a database full of contacts that are synced over from CRM. Marketing lists allow you to query much deeper in CRM than you would be able to in your marketing system. So in this example, a technology company was using these complex marketing lists to segment and send email campaigns, and they would export the marketing list, import it into their email marketing software, rinse and repeat, and that's how they were doing their marketing. So there comes a time when you need a bit more sophistication in your marketing, and that's when they decided to sign up with HubSpot. You have this challenge where list members are tracked very differently between static and dynamic lists. And when you create a dynamic list, your list members can change in an instant as their criteria changes.
So you're referring there, Daniel, to the difference between a static list and a smart list? Is that the language of dynamics, or do I have that wrong?
Exactly. Well, in Dynamics, it's static and dynamic, and then in HubSpot, you have static and smart, and they function really exactly the same in the two systems.
Oh, okay. All right.
So our goal was to synchronize all of the lists from Dynamics to HubSpot, the static and the dynamic lists, and to ensure that the list members were mirrored at any given time. including additions and deletions. So we created a sync map to insert and update all the CRM lists in HubSpot. That was relatively easy. For dynamic lists, Dynamics just doesn't tell you, here's all the list members. They tell you, here's how to find the list members. Go find them yourself because it's driven off of a query. So we ran the fetch XML query in Dynamics to find all of the list members of a dynamic list. And we would compare that to what's in HubSpot. We would do a change comparison every hour. If there were any list members in CRM that were not in HubSpot, we would add them. If there are any list members that were in HubSpot that were not in CRM, we would remove them because they're no longer part of that list. We're really letting Dynamics be the system of record in all of these cases because Dynamics is where those lists live. So we're adding new list members to HubSpot. We're removing deletions from HubSpot. And we're mirroring the exact lists and list members between the two systems. So now in HubSpot, you have all of your CRM lists in one place, and you can create even additional lists in HubSpot that incorporate your smart lists, or that incorporate your Dynamics lists. So you can create a marketing list that says, give me everyone that's in this CRM list, but not this CRM list. Or give me everyone that's in this CRM list and that has been to our website in the past 5 days. So it really adds a much deeper level of sophistication by being able to incorporate data from CRM, such as everyone that is signed on to a particular contract, or everyone that has a certain product or service associated with their opportunity. So all of those great queries that you can run in CRM, now you can share all of that data with your marketing system.
Yeah, and I think the things you point out, we talked a little bit earlier about the fact that, when you talk about, 40% in the call here said that they had integrated marketing. When you really get into the nitty-gritty details, you realize that there's a wide range between what integrated really means, and that there's a sort of a progression of work that you can do to take your integration of marketing automation and CRM to a completely different level.
Exactly, and this isn't a good fit for everyone, but if you're a CRM user that's heavily adopted some of these additional data objects that just don't exist in marketing, you don't want to lose out on all of that information just because you're only integrating your basic contact information between the two systems.
Right, cool. In this particular case, the big impact is it just on the ability to execute better and more targeted campaigns, and then ultimately yield better revenue results? Is that the primary driver of being able to sync these lists?
There's a few drivers. One, you're doing marketing more efficiently, because in the past, you would export the list, import it into an email marketing system, and then send a campaign. Rinse and repeat, export list, import list, send a campaign. So it's very campaign driven. Now with your list in a marketing automation system, you can do marketing more effectively by just sending your campaign anytime you want to, and your data is right there. So that's saving time, but also by having all of your lists in a marketing automation system like that, the customer is now able to send workflows and one-to-one personalized emails that are very, very granular based on the different contracts and products and services that the customer is using at the various stages of the life cycle. So they have lists separated by prospect, opportunity, customer. Customers that are up for renewals, they used to have to every month export customers that were up for a contract renewal, import into email marketing, and send a campaign. Well, now the marketing automation system just does that automatically in the background, and it can send multiple reminder emails that are much more specific to customers that haven't yet contacted them about contract renewal.
So in other words, they're getting a lot more from less, and executing at a much higher level, and driving customer behavior in a way that they weren't able to do before.
And it's absolutely affecting their bottom line with the greater coverage they're getting, with the ability to automate some of this marketing that they couldn't do in the past.
Right, great. Well, these are three great scenarios, and that's how we wanted to sort of end the conversation today, was to get down into the details of three very specific use cases related to dynamic CRM, and certainly appreciate that. And I think with that, we're going to go ahead and thank you first of all for attending, and we're going to open it up. We've left some time here at the end to open it up for questions from the audience. So let's see if we have any of those.
All right, great. And so a reminder to the audience, please do enter your questions into that Q&A block that you'll see to the right of the slides. We have a few minutes here to take those questions about your own dynamic CRM scenarios, perhaps your own integration experiences. We'd love to hear from you. First question that came in: how do you synchronize the attribute data about a customer or prospect into the marketing or CRM system to drive the targeted and personalized experiences you're talking about?
Syncing attribute data involves first creating custom fields in your marketing software to mirror what's in CRM. Once you've identified the data that you want to sync, and I'm assuming when you say attributes, you mean fields at the contact or the lead level. So it's really a matter of creating those fields in marketing first, and then mapping them together with your integration software like Scribe.
Yeah, I mean, one of the challenges you do run into, I'm sure you see this all the time, Daniel, is the fact that your marketing systems are generally flatter than your CRM systems. So you have to figure out how, because you're probably not going to be able to mirror the structure of that data and all the relationships. So you have to sort of look at what's the most important elements of that attribute data, and how can you fit that into the flatter, simpler data model of marketing.
Exactly. And so when we talked about, we had that slide that listed out some of the company data. Well, when you're syncing contacts to CRM contacts to marketing, that contact may have a parent account, and you want to send some of that parent account data, but it's going to end up at the contact level in marketing.
Right.
All right, another question here. How do I take information gathered in marketing or sales interactions and share it with other systems for effective follow-up and nurturing?
Well, I can start, and then you can jump in, Daniel. But
sure.
The first is to again, it's very similar to what we're talking about here. You're going to need to sort of deal with the same issues that we're talking about here with marketing automation systems. So look at that particular system that you need to communicate to, look at its data structure, understand how that application needs to behave to execute on any information that you provided. And then you're going to have to sort of transform that data into the structure to be able to consume it, but be able to, in essence, set the ability to publish that data out and broadcast that data out to those other applications that can take advantage of it. And then you're going to have to do some form of either structural level or semantical level transformation to that data to get it shoehorned into what the application can receive. And in some cases, you may need to create some custom data, as we talked about here, the marketing automation system in that target, if that target system will consume it. Do you have any other thoughts on this, Daniel?
Well, that was very well put. And if you look at the inverse, we talked about CRM having all these data structures that marketing doesn't have, and the same is true in the other direction. The marketing automation system will store a whole slew of activity data that you don't necessarily want in CRM, but you may want to aggregate and summarize some of that data, not just for CRM, but for other systems as well. And so, like you said, there's some data that some fields that you may have to create in CRM to store that summary data. In some cases, we're creating activity records in CRM to track certain behaviors that are happening on the HubSpot side. And it's just a matter of looking at exactly from a high level what you're looking, what data you can really take action on.
Yeah, and it is really working backwards from the outcome you're trying to achieve. You know, I see this. I'll just use this as an example. It's not it's marketing automation into CRM. A lot of struggle over what information do I want to actually persist in my CRM system for marketing? Do I want to indicate? Do I want CRM to know, or does CRM need to know every time somebody opened an email, or every time I sent an email to somebody, or what have you? Or do they really need to have information that's aggregated that's relevant? And I think that's true for any of these systems, right? Try not to clutter those systems with information that really don't drive business value and behavior that is going to affect the bottom line. So work from the outcome back. Okay, what do I need that target system to be able to do to be better and more effective? What benefit am I going to get from that? And then what are the critical pieces of information that I need? And be really stingy with that. Make sure that you only take the information and consume the information from marketing automation or CRM that you need to drive the ultimate outcome.
Exactly right.
All right. I'm not seeing any other questions in the queue right now, so we will begin wrapping up. I just want to ask everyone who's on the line, as you do depart today, please look for a survey that will pop up. It only takes 15 or 20 seconds to fill out, and we very much appreciate the feedback for our speakers and for ourselves to know how your experience was today. Daniel, Peter, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Great, thank you.
All right, and thanks to the audience, too, for your attention. Have a great day. This concludes today's event.